G'day guys, Mac with the S Circle. I already recorded and uploaded a video today. That would be the one talking about the less than great consumer options in the Havoc kit for 40k. I want to divert my gaze over to the Horus Heresy for the brief moment here. The Blood Angels Day of Revelation bundle has gone up on the Forge World web store, and this is like the bundle for the Blood Angels, and it's not a very good bundle, and I want to explain why and the key improvements that one needs to make to this if they are considering doing a Day of Revelation list for 30k. Now, I suppose this has to do with the Getting Started in Horus Heresy series, so I might add it into that playlist, but it boils down to this. In the Day of Revelation, jump troops become good. And in general, as a rule, in Heresy, they're not very good. But in Day of Revelation, you get things like plus on weapon skill, furious charge, that kind of like just ridiculous buffs for charging things. Penalties being that you must have a compulsory HQ, must be with a jump pack, and you must have 2 squads of Assault Marines as your basic troops choices. That's where this bundle comes in, because it provides the 2 squads of Assault Marines, the 20 Space Marines you need, but that's where it ends. There are no upgrades in here, and you want upgrades for a start. You need to make your squad sergeants good. You need things like lightning claws, power axes, and things like that. You need killing power in these squads if they're going into close combat, because chainswords frankly won't cut it against power armor. Another thing that they need is apothecaries, and we come across a problem with apothecaries, and it's the same problem we come across with HQ options: a lack of jump packs. You basically will have to fork out to get yourself another unit of, at least a unit of 5 Assault Marines, just for their jump packs to use on other guys, and that's really frustrating. There is a little bit of a workaround though. If you take the jump packs off your Assault Marines, perhaps you can put some regular power packs on them off the guys who are then getting your jump packs, and sort of use them as tactical Marines with chainswords and bolt pistols on foot. It kind of gets around it, but no matter what, you're paying for a bunch of extra miniatures you may not want in the army. The big problem, however, is sitting in the centre back, and that is the HQ choice provided is the only HQ choice with a jump pack: the Moritat. And frankly, the Moritat is a terrible choice. Now, in a Day of Revelation list overall, it's not a bad choice, but for a starting set, it is. A Moritat, for a start, is not a Master of the Legion, so he does not unlock the ability to take the Rite of War for this particular Day of Revelation assault list. That's bad. That means you need to add a Praetor or a Delegatus or a Herald to the force. The next problem we come across is that, unfortunately, the compulsory HQ must take a jump pack. That gets rid of a lot of options. The key one that it gets rid of is the Herald, at least as a compulsory choice. The Herald can still be taken, but then you need to buy a 3rd HQ, which means you've used a lot of HQ slots so far. Not ideal. And of course, the Moritat's very not Blood Angelsy. How's that for an answer? Not Blood Angelsy. So, we need to add a Delegatus or a Praetor to this bundle in order to even play it in the first place. And that's before we look at things, I suppose, like how good the weapons are on the units and the fact there's no upgrades. Like 529 here is not giving you a playable starting force. 529 Australian dollars is giving you 2/3 of a starting force. It is not a good deal in that regard, because you're going to have to fork out for something like this. a Blood Angels Praetor. And you're going to have to find a jump pack for him. That's just the way it is. Now, whether he's a Delegatus or a Praetor doesn't really matter, as long as it's a Master of the Legion, as long as it's a compulsory HQ choice, not a support officer of the Legion, then you're good. My advice would be to actually look to Games Workshop, and I'll give you 3 options here, going from worst to best in my opinion. Worst being the Blood Angels Chaplain with Jump Pack. If you can go online to Bits Traders maybe and get Sanguinary Guard backpack and just slap it on the Blood Angels Praetor from Forge World, they're probably better than this. But this guy is a really neat jump pack, which, especially with a little bit of gold trim on the wings, would suit really well with the Praetor. The next choice would be Asterath the Grim. Asterath the Grim has a very, very stylized armor. So much so that you can't say it's Mark 4, you can't say it's Mark 7, you can't say it's Mark 5 or 6. It's really none of those, and all of those at once, which is great. So you could use him as a Praetor with a Paragon Blade, something like that. You could use him as a Chaplain. You could use him as all sorts of options if you want to use him as something else in other lists. But this model here, it's perfectly fine for 30k. It's a good, solid start. The last one would be the Sanguinor. And you could even call him a Counts as Kellion. He won't be anywhere near as good as an actual special character as Kellion would be. That's the head of Sanguinius's personal bodyguard, who is an absolute beast. The counterpart of Rel'Doran. So you could use him as that. The Sanguinor kit, you don't have to go with the Golden Boy head on him. You could swap that out for one of the upgraded Blood Angels helmets if you liked. Maybe a Palatine Blades helmet off the Emperor's Children. There's plenty of options out there. Me personally, I think the model's great as it is. And if you want to convert it a little bit, maybe get rid of the Grail that he's holding in his right hand, sure. You could cut it off at the wrist and put on a hand flamer or an Inferno pistol, something like that. There's plenty you can do with it, but it's nice and simple and it gives you a relatively cheap jump character. And in fact, he's probably going to cost you, going by the prices on the Australian website, it'll actually be a significant saving over the Blood Angels Praetor, about 20%. So, if you can buy someone like the Sanguinor or Asterath the Grim and add them to your Day of Revelation list, you will now have a playable force. Now, the next part in our little This Isn't Great bundle is, first, the Destroyers. Destroyers are a good unit. Now, I've always liked them, but the recent points reductions and that has made them quite good. Blood Angels have their own Destroyer flavour, Legion-specific unit, who is a lot better than Legion Destroyers. So these are not ideal. You're kind of throwing away a few points because I think everyone would agree they love to use their Legion Terminators over sort of the standard ones. Wherever they've got a kit anyway, like Tyrant Siege Terminators are amazing. Phoenix Terminators look awesome. Red Butchers are fun to play. Everyone loves both the flavours of Death Guard Terminators, the Death Shroud and the Grave Wardens. Same thing with the Blood Angels. The Blood Angels have these really, really cool Destroyers. I think people are going to want to use those over these ones. Maybe you could convert these into a sort of pseudo version, maybe give them some cool Blood Angels helmets, some nice decal work, I don't know. But they're not ideal, at least not for this list. Especially because what this list is lacking is the ability to kill armor. This list has nothing that's going to kill enemy tanks. That's problematic. Maybe you could get like some melter bombs and crack grenades, stuff like that. Maybe you could even put some, I think they have access to Inferno pistols on their assault marines. But you really need to be looking at something like Dreadnoughts in this list. Always Bring Contemptor comes to mind. You need something you can actually kill enemy armor, because Dreadnoughts, yeah, you can outrun them and get away from them, but they can wreck your day. Especially if you're playing a game where you have to attack the enemy and take objectives and stuff like that, and they park a Dreadnought on them. what the hell are you going to do about it? So again, it's giving you a lot of units and it's an expensive bundle, but the units are not the type of units you need in a starting force of Blood Angels. This is less a starting pack and more like just a core component, like half of what you need, realistically, to make the right sort of army here. Like I say, apothecaries, another character, upgrades for your squads and sergeants, all of that stuff's going to add up fast if you buy this bundle. And lastly, the speeder. Not ideal. Now, there's nothing wrong with speeders at all, and they work great in these lists. But what they come with, what they're armed with, what they're upgraded with, and what else is a better choice, those are the questions. A land speeder, I'd probably want a squadron of them, and I'd probably want them with multi-melters for that anti-tank. But this is sorely lacking. Or I'd get some other anti-tank that I can trust, maybe graviton guns on them, or assault cannons even, just for killing hordes of cheap infantry like Imperial Militia maybe, demons, something like that. But yeah, nothing is ideal here. Honestly, rather than buying this Day of Revelation bundle, which as everyone knows with Forge World bundles is pretty much no cheaper than buying all these separate anyway, my advice to you, don't buy the bundle, buy 2 squads of 10 Assault Marines, buy some sort of HQ choice, whichever of these it may be, fix yourself up with a Contemptor, probably with something like Twin Kiri's Assault Cannons, or maybe even Power Fists, a Power Fist and a Chain Fist, for example, with inbuilt Assault Cannons. Very good combination, and because you're going to be in the enemy's face, doesn't matter if your Dreadnought's ranged or not, because he's going to be joining you. It's just going to take him a couple of turns to waddle there. Buy a few apothecaries, as I say, and you'll get a much better list out of it for the same money. Anyway, Mac with the Outer Circle. Thank you all for watching this quick little video. I hope the 30k players, especially the people getting the Blood Angels, got something out of this. As always, thoughts and feedback in the comments below, and if you've got any questions about Blood Angels lists or White Scars especially, because I have played them, many games with them in fact at recent competition, I'm all over that shit. See you all next time.